Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome back to Arrows DIY. Today we're going to have fun playing around with some of these Iron Orchid Designs transfer pack. This one specifically is called the Ephemeral Melange, and I'll leave it linked below. This video is part of a collaboration. I'll tell you more about that in a bit. So at the Family Dollar, I picked up this, I don't know, thing. And it was for $10. It was half off on sale, but when I actually rung it up, it was $2.50. So I ended up getting two because I already committed to spending $5 on this. So I'm going to show you this once, but I did this same process 2 times. Now I'm going to make these over completely, but first we got to remove it from the package. So I took out my handy dandy screwdriver and got them out of there. Next we're going to use the heat gun, and I'm just going to get these hideous red jewels off of this piece. So it was relatively easy. I just used the heat tool and this little Cricut tool from Dollar Tree. And some of them popped right off, kind of like they didn't even want to be on the piece. But the other ones took some work. But do be careful because you could melt the plastic. So once all those jewels were off, it was ready for a paint job. I got this chalk paint from Folk Art Home Decor called Foggy, and it's just a beautiful light gray color, but you can paint yours any color you want. And if you hurry up, you might be able to find it on clearance at Family Dollar because I bought these last week. And I think it's worth it because these turned out beautiful and they look like they are made out of metal. I do like the gold, but I wanted to dry brush it with this beautiful color. That way the gold is toned down, but it still peeks through in certain spots. And I gave everything a nice dry brush. I used a big brush to help me get a lot of coverage, but remember we're going for a dry brush, so I did not want full coverage anyways. I did not tape off the mirror because you'll see in a bit, I just find it easier to just use a tool to scrape that off later. And chalk paint is super simple to scrape off once it's fully dry. As you can see here, I did the face of the piece as well as the sides. I sped this up for your convenience because I take my time. Now I took the other larger piece and I did the same thing, just dry brushed the whole thing with the same color. I also painted over those little flowers, the little mirror flower portions. I didn't care too much about those reflecting, so I did paint over those completely and I kept them solid. And I also dry brushed very heavily on that little middle portion that looks like wheat. I wanted that to be solid, not dry brushed. So you'll notice that as well. And as you can see, I just take the piece and I rotate it so that I don't miss any spots. And yeah, I do this for all 6 pieces. Now, as I just finish up this last little paint job, I wanted to welcome you to my channel. If you're new here or coming over from the playlist, my name is Favi. I'm a crafty mother of 6, and I love creating on my spare time. I feel like it's so simple to make fun, unique home decor on a budget. So if you like that kind of thing, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a video. Next, I took some of these half beads, and I got these on Amazon a while back. Now, to paint these, the easiest way I found was to take a piece of painter's tape, some blue tape, and we're just going to make a loop and tape it onto our surface with the sticky side up. Just be sure to space them out appropriately so that you are able to get the edges of these wood beads. And that way it just holds them in place and you're able to paint them and they can dry right there. So I painted them in this color by Brush Metal called Brush Bronze. And it's just such a pretty color, and I'm gonna go ahead and just paint a ton of them. For the flowers, I think I needed about 8 of them, and then for the larger scroll piece, I think it only took 3. In total, I think there were 38 beads, so my little helper had to help me here because she loves it. You also want to pay special attention to the edges when you are using this painter's tape to get the edges around closest to the tape so that you don't miss a spot. So be sure to space them when you tape them on to this, when you stick them onto this blue tape. Once they're nice and dry, I went ahead and I just hot glued them where those red jewels were before. And I used my detail tip Surebonder glue gun so that I'm able to get the glue right on that edge there with the least amount of mess possible. So I just go ahead and hot glue these like so. Once they were all attached on there, I thought it was so pretty. They're so vintage and I love them so far. They came a long way from where they were a second ago. And you want to be sure that there's no lint or anything. You might want to use a lint-free cloth, which I had none, so I just tried my best there. And now I'm going to cut out one of these transfers. These transfers are so easy to use. You're going to center your transfer to the mirror and use a scraper tool to scrape the entire face of it. If you see that a little bit is not detaching, just place it back down and rub it again. Now you're going to take the corner and make a little wave, and using that wave, you're going to scrape the wave through the entire face of the transfer, and you will see that it will come right off that film. Now I'm just going to use the same high temperature glue gun and some Gorilla hot glue to hot glue the painted half wood beads to the middle of these flowers. Once I applied these wood beads to this piece, all that's left to do is to seal it. So I used clear wax by Waverly to seal this project, and that's it. It's that simple to upcycle these cheap dollar store home decor pieces. Now for the other ones, here I'm showing you how I used this little scraper tool from Dollar Tree to just remove the chalk paint. And then I went ahead and I cleaned it up with a rag and some cleaner, and that's how I prepared it for the transfer. So once that was all done and dry, I went ahead and I applied the other transfers to the other mirror pieces. So this is from the same transfer pack, the Ephemeral Melange, and I chose this one because it had a round shape behind the roses, and I thought that would look really good with this round mirror. So just as before, we're going to apply it, center it, press it down with our fingers, and then use the little scraper that comes in the package to scrape the entire face of the transfer. I did have some of the leaves at the bottom overhanging the edge, but I didn't mind. And once I had it all down, I'm going to go ahead and make that ripple on the corner, and that's going to help me detach the transfer from the clear film on top. So hopefully I'm making sense. If not, feel free to leave a question or any comment or whatever in the comments below. I love to hear your comments, and I'm always responding as soon as I see them. So as you can see here, you just kind of want to make a ripple and see how quick it just flies off the transfer. It's just amazing how that little wave technique takes the transfer right off, and I think it's just so gorgeous. So I made a lot of them. I made all 4 of them with different pieces from this transfer pack, and it's just so fun to personalize your projects with these. So as you can see, I have a ton of them, and I made 2 of them to have those rose transfers, and the other 2 had some of the toiletry transfers. So if you notice on this pack, it has a lot of vintage labels, vintage toiletry labels. So this one here is for tooth wash, and here I am using a tiny paintbrush to apply the clear wax to protect this little vintage label for tooth wash. And I'm going to put 2 of these in my bathroom and the other 2 in my vanity section in my room. So I'm excited to have these as part of my home decor. Once the transfers were protected with the clear wax, I went in with some antique wax and a really scruffy old brush. It's actually one of those kid brushes from the Dollar Tree, and I just offloaded it on the paper there, and then I just went around and just distressed it where I think it would naturally distress if it were actual metal. And I just went in the creases heavily, and then I just dry brushed the edges of this piece as well. I also added some antique wax on top of the wood half beads because I thought it gave it a really nice touch. Now to distress or not distress is totally up to you. And I went ahead and sealed everything using some clear wax from Waverly and a tiny paintbrush to help me get in all those tiny little words. But there it is. Guys, let me know what you think about this. I think it turned out so beautiful. It looks so vintage and perfect for any romantic home. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one. So as I mentioned before, this video is part of a collaboration. It's part of Flowerpalooza, and it's hosted by the lovely and the most beautiful Indiana Jones from Crafting with Indiana Jones. I will link her channel in my description box below so you can check her out, as well as the playlist with all the creators who also participated in this Flowerpalooza extravaganza. In other news, we have DIY number 2. Now, I went to Michael's and I got this piece here. It's part of the spring decor, but I think it looks like everyday decor. So I got it for, I think, $4, and it's so pretty. It has a lid. I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this transfer. This transfer, the one that says Lilas Blanc. Now, I literally have been thinking about this DIY forever because I feel like this transfer is perfect for this piece. Let me know what you think, because it's like they were made for each other. As you can see, I'm just using a craft stick here, and I'm scraping the whole entire face of it. I use the same weft technique to detach it from the piece. And once I was done, I just used the clear film on top to varnish it. And this just makes sure that your entire image is completely attached to the surface. And I sealed it with some clear wax, but really it is that simple. Let me know what you think about this one, because I think it's just so lovely and so easy. Who doesn't love that? If you would like to support my channel, you could do so for free by hitting the thumbs up button if you like this video. And if you'd like to support me financially, you could do so at the link in my description box under Buy Me a Coffee. All proceeds are used for craft supplies. Please and thank you. For the next project, I'm going to be using this cabinet door. I've had it in my stash forever, and today is the day. I'm going to clean it real good with the Castile soap mix that I just make at home and a nice rag. Now I'm going to scuff it up using this sanding block in 80 grit, and then I'm going to dust it off with this big soft paintbrush and then clean it again. So now, once it's nice and dry, I'm going to go in with this chalk paint by Folk Art Home Decor in the color Cashmere. It's part of their new line of chalk paints, and it's such a pretty color. It's like a cream, kind of like a whitish color, but it throws pink, so it kind of has like a pink undertone. I really like it. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this whole thing. Now, the reason why I chose this color also is because I feel like the pink undertone goes really well with the transfer we're going to use in a little bit. And I felt like it was a very special transfer, so I wanted it to pop, which is why I gave it a solid white color. At first, I thought I was going to do a dry brush, kind of like not so solid, but then I changed my mind, and you'll see what I do in a little bit. So once it's all fully painted, I'm going to go in with this blue color. I thought it was fun for spring. I love this color. I love all blues, to be honest, but this specific blue is called Sea Haze. It's also part of those new colors by Folk Art, and it was a brand new bottle, so I had to mix it real good with a craft stick. And now I'm going to use this kid brush from the Dollar Tree again, and we're just going to kind of dry brush this blue all around. I started painting a little bit, but then I noticed that the color wasn't coming out the true color, so then I decided to mix it up a little bit more. Now I offloaded my paintbrush on the paper there, and then I'm just going to like dry brush it lightly, randomly in different spots. There's no rhyme or reason here. I just really enjoy looking at this color, and that's why I show you guys paint, because I like watching people paint. I don't know, the whole transformation process is very inspiring to me. But let me know in the comments below if you like watching paint or not, because I do. But you know, I'm trying to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments below. As you can see here, I'm just randomly putting around everywhere, and then once I have almost no paint on my brush, I'm just blending it a little more around the edges. So it's heavy in some spots and lighter in other spots, and as you can see, it is the end of this paintbrush's life. You are good, paintbrush. Thank you for your service. So now we're going to go in with this napkin. And this napkin was given to me by Mary over at Craft Away with May, and she's just the sweetest. So check out her channel below. I'll also link it below. And I'm gonna go ahead and just add this napkin. And I know it's kind of plain, but it's a small napkin, and this is the only one I wanted to use, so I have to make it work. And as well as this napkin, I'm gonna use this transfer from this pack. I'm showing you the pack here in case you want to buy it. It's a little bit smaller than the other transfer packs by Iron Orchid Designs, or IOD. But this is the picture I want to use, and I've been holding on to this picture for so long. I didn't know what to do, but I'm so excited to use it today, and I love how it turned out. But let me know what you think. So we're gonna separate the plies on this napkin, and this napkin was super fragile, guys, super fragile. So it does rip a little bit. As you can see here, I'm trying to separate the plies. It looks like I'm going aggressive, but I'm actually not. I sped this up for your viewing pleasure. But I had to separate the plies from this napkin, and as I tore on one side, I would go to the next corner trying to detach it without ripping it some more. Now, it's not going to be obvious because it is going behind the transfer, so I was hoping. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying. So I'm going to take some Mod Podge in the matte finish, and my little Mod Podge brush. It's so cute. Do you see my little brush? It's so cute. I love this little thing. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just apply Mod Podge to the inner portion here of this cabinet door. And I'm going to now try to apply your Mod Podge evenly throughout the entire thing. So once the Mod Podge is nice and dry, I'm going to come back and try to center this napkin so that the lines are lined up to the center of the board. Then once my little mini iron here is heated up, I'm going to start in the center and iron it over this wax paper. And the wax paper protects your napkin, well, mine, from ripping more, really, and it protects my iron from getting any Mod Podge on it, because it's just, ugh. Mod Podge on an iron is ugh. So as you can see here, the wax paper was trying to stick to the Mod Podge sections of the door. So this is why you might want to use a medium heat setting on your iron. And once it was fully attached, I used an X-Acto knife to cut off the excess napkin all around the edges. And you want a really sharp X-Acto knife to do this to minimize ripping your napkin. Now, I am actually in the market for a new mini iron because I would like one with a tip on it so that I am able to get into the corners of this piece. So let me know if you know. Okay, so as you can see here, I took the excess piece there and I put it at the bottom, and I did the same thing. I just put a piece of wax paper on there and I ironed it once again. And same thing with the X-Acto knife. Sorry if you hear my baby in the background. It's not a pterodactyl. It's my little boy. He is 10 months as of tomorrow. I cannot believe how quickly time flies. But once this is all attached, I'm going to cut down the outer, kind of like cut around this transfer because it was too large to lay flat in the middle of this cabinet door. So I had to cut it down so that it could lay flat. I just said that, sorry. It's been a while since I've done a voiceover, so I appreciate your patience here. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut the other side of the transfer. I'm just trying to cut off like the dead white space around so that just the goods, the stuff that we want, is right in the center. And it still had trouble fitting, so I had to cut it down again. And that's the great thing about these transfers, that they're completely customizable. You can layer them with other designs, or you can cut them off and put them however you want to arrange them. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to cut off the title, the words at the top, And I'm also going to cut off the little words at the end, the really tiny ones, and that way I can stretch it to fall where I want to. Now that rose in the corner, I'm not sure if it's a rose or a peony, don't know, but that pink flower in the corner, I do want it to lay on that spot to cover the open edge of the napkin. So I'm gonna place it kind of in the center because I do want to put a bow at the top, and in the future I might add something to the bottom. I'm not too sure yet, but I know for sure I want that rose to cover the napkin edge, and I want that little leaf on the right side to cover the napkin edge as well. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to get my placement right, because once you place that thing is on there. So once I center it on there, I'm going to press it down in the center first, and once I secure it in place, I'm gonna rub the entire thing down. I'm gonna use the scraper that came in the package just as before, and we're gonna rub the entire image onto this cabinet door. And I think it's coming out so nice. I absolutely love this, but we're not done yet because I'm never done. I just keep adding and adding, and it's just so much fun to create this. So that rose did go over the edge there, and I just let it go onto that border, the inner border. And once I rub the entire image with the stick, I am going to create that wave effect so that it does attach on the second go across. So that's what I'm doing now. Just as before, as you're rubbing down, if you notice that a piece of your transfer is not sticking to your surface, just lay it back down and rub it some more. There are times in the past where I've tried with different projects that my transfers have not transferred, maybe like a little section didn't, and I found that sometimes if you just add a little bit of heat to it from your finger and press down on that spot, it should detach from the film. It's also very important that your paint is completely dry and that there is no wax applied yet for best results. Once this is all attached, I'm gonna varnish it with the clear film. I'm gonna rub the entire thing gently with that film to make sure that the entire image is transferred to my surface, and then I'm gonna worry about the words. And I had to refer back to the picture itself to see where this title was, but I kind of did my own thing anyways, and you'll see that in a second. As for the rest of the wording, I just wanted to put it in a place where it was kind of balanced. I didn't want it to be so close to the original word there for May. So I just put it, you know, a little bit more to the right. And then those tiny little words that were behind the word seeds, I ended up just putting right under, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. Next, I'm going to use my most favorite paint called Mayan Gold, and it's part of the Treasure Gold line by Folk Art. And I'm going to paint that inner border. Now, this did take some time, so I did come back many times. I took breaks, and my children pulled me away. So I kind of painted some, and then I walked away and came back and did some more. It might be helpful for you to add some blue tape if that's what you like, but eventually it all got painted, and I just love how this showcases that transfer and it really frames it out. Next, I'm going to use this color for the outer border, and I wanted to pull colors from this picture, so I'm gonna pull out that blue color in the wording at the bottom. And I have this paint color called Nantucket Blue. This one is Nantucket Blue by Home Decor, Folk Art Home Decor. It's a chalk paint, and I'm gonna paint that outer border in the same color. And I just love how it pops. I absolutely love it. It might be helpful to use some blue tape, but I just used this square and I kind of put it where I wanted to, leaving a little tiny gap. Then I turned my flat paintbrush sideways and kind of let it go through that little tiny crack there. And that's how I painted the little edges in between. Now I did get some of the blue tape. Wow. I did get some of the blue paint on a little bit of the gold, so I just had to touch it up. Now I'm adding some clear wax on top of the transfer, and this is going to protect our transfer from wear and tear, help it preserve, help it last a little longer. As long as it's far from my children, it should be fine. Now I'm going to take some sandpaper. This sandpaper is from the Dollar Tree. Use any sanding paper that you like, your favorite. I used the sandpaper to take off some of that blue paint that might have seeped over, and I also just distressed the edges just to make it look shabby, and I love shabby chic decor, so this is gonna go great with the rest of my shabby home. And when you have 5 boys, you have a shabby home. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do that and just dress it all around the outside. Now I'm going to add an assortment of ribbons from my stash. Some of these are from Michael's. The other bit is from Dollar Tree. That's usually where I get my crafting supplies. This yellow one is also from Michael's. So I'm just going to cut different strips just to make a shabby bow. I'm not going to go into too much detail how I made the bow, but basically I made a shoelace bow with the Dollar Tree lace ribbon, and then I took a little piece of copper wire and I didn't cut it, I just ran it through the back of this little tiny shoelace bow. Then I just started stacking them in size order, I guess. So next I tied another shoelace bow, which I think I tied on itself, like I wrapped it on itself about 5 times before I made the bow. So it's very bushy. And then I added this other one from Michael's with the buffalo check and neutral burlap. And then I added the yellow one. And I know it's a lot going on, but I wanted a lot of texture. I wanted it to be a lot of fun, because for some reason this little girl in this transfer reminded me of my childhood. And these were the kind of bows my mom would make for my hair. I always had these big, fun bows with lots of texture, lots of stringy bits, like I had so much fun with my bows. I had like curly cues on it, and like I don't even know, like plastic little dandelion looking things. I don't even know, but this is what it reminded me of. So that's where I'm kind of drawing that inspiration from. And then I added some of these red raggly bits. Those are from, I think, a clothesline from Dollar Tree. And then the last ribbon in the back is also from Michael's. I got on clearance for $1. And then once I got it all cinched in the middle there, I kind of got tangled there for a second. It's a lot going on, but I love it. So it brings me joy. It brings me joy. Shabby, big, crazy bows bring me joy. I can't help it. So once I got untangled, I went ahead and I twisted it. Once it was nice and tight, I pulled and twisted this bow so that the wire is nice and tight. And that's what I did. I didn't want to go too much into detail because everyone has their own way of making bows, and it's no right way or wrong way. As long as it looks good and stays there and doesn't fall apart, I think we can call it a good bow. So I got my little helper here, and I'm showing him what a dovetail is. So I'm just taking my ribbon scissors and I'm making some dovetails in the thick ribbons. And once that's all done, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this beauty to the middle of the top there. And I'm using some hot glue, the same Gorilla hot glue, to place it, and that's it. That's it. Oh, I'm also going to trim it down. I like trimming it down after I attach it so I can actually see, and I can reference for size so I know how long I can actually make them. And that's what I'm doing here. If I cut them off before, then I might cut too much and it'll look too small, and then the space will look empty, and then I'll, you know. But what I also like about this bow method is you can still resize your bows even after they're made. I also added a knob to the cabinet door, but I thought it would also be nice if you added like a little chain with a watering can, a mini watering can hanging there. That would be so cute for the cabinet door piece. But here they are. Let me know what you think about these in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I appreciate every single one of you. I know it's been a while, so I really do appreciate you clicking on this video. But there it is. Let me know what you think about this one. This one was so much fun to make. I know it took a while to explain, but it was so worth it. Guys, I strongly encourage you to try this with your cabinet doors, but let me know what you think about these in the comments below. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok. And buy me a coffee as well if you'd like to support my channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care. God bless. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. If you like this video, here's another one you might enjoy.